like, what? What was it? Because I checked, I didn't have a bracelet on or a WWJD hat or any of that. There was nothing on me to say I was a believer. We had a very short interaction. He said, keep sharing your faith. And so I just looked at him confused. And after a little bit, you could tell that I was very confused. And so he looked at me and he said, the fruit of the Spirit. He said, it's very apparent in here. And I was like, what? Like, that's crazy to me. Because again, you can meet cashiers who are happy who are not believers. It's not that I was like doing some sort of different action. It's that when you work with the strength that God supplies, He's doing something that's separate. But this guy had the wisdom to recognize. He turned out to be a pastor of a nearby church. But I guarantee you, most of the world won't recognize it. That doesn't mean it's not having an impact. So it makes a difference when you serve in ways that you think, I'm not even telling people right now I'm a Christian, so they don't know. So it doesn't matter how I serve, right? No, it matters. It absolutely matters because when you work with the strength that He supplies, He can be glorified. So God will be glorified through the works that we do. He'll also be glorified through the way that we do them. These are things that will draw the world around us to Him. And the last thing I want to point out is the one that makes the least amount of sense to me. Go with me to John 17, verse 20. And we'll finish here. But it's the most miraculous. John 17, verse 20. This is Jesus praying. This is Jesus praying right before He goes to the cross. Doesn't have a lot of time alive left, right? So John 13 through 17 is pretty much all Jesus speaking, right before His death. So I read those words and I'm like, what He says here is important. John 17 is Jesus praying. I'm like, what He prays here is important. I want to hold on to whatever it is that He says. So John 17, verse 20. At first, He was praying specifically for His disciples who were there with Him. And in verse 20, He expands His prayer. It says, I don't ask for these only, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. Who is that? That's us. That is every believer. So Jesus is praying for us. And here's His prayer in verse 21. That they may all be one. Just as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. That's direct evangelism. So that the world may believe that you have sent me. Now, this doesn't make sense to me. This isn't the way I think about it. We do things where we have our strategies as church people, and we think to ourselves, okay, we subdivide into three different groups. We say, how's your relationship with God? Great, good, awesome. How's your relationship with the rest of the members of the church? You're like, I don't really like them. Okay, we'll work on that one. And then you say, okay, how's your relationship? How is evangelizing going? Going out and bringing other people in. It's like, it's not going so well either. And we separate all of them. Jesus encompasses every single one of those right here in this one statement because they are all the same. There's not three different categories to start looking at and asking ourselves. And if we ask ourselves that, it might show us, okay, maybe there are some issues, and we start to assess some of those things. But the solution isn't different. It's not, we all have great relationships with God, but our relationship with each other isn't that great. That's not how it works. If all of us are walking with Him, we all walk together. And if we all walk together, they will see and know that the Father sent the Son. It's direct evangelism through the way that we are unified. That's an awesome opportunity. The picture you see throughout Scripture is a picture of the body. Everyone take your hands and do this. What you just did is crazy. Okay? Because think with me. The reason why we're able to do that, the reason why I can do things like this, is not because my hand communicated really well with my other hand. That didn't happen. The reason I can walk across this stage with confidence is not because my right foot knows exactly what my left foot is doing, and they're in great communication. That's not how a body works. The reason why my hand is able to clap with my other hand and beat in the middle every single time, I can do it with my eyes closed. That's crazy. I don't even have to see it. Right? Like, this is how a body works. The reason a body works that way is because every part listens to the head. That's why a body is unified. It's not because they learned great communication skills. Communication skills can be cool. It's because every part of the body is submitted to the head. It's miraculous. It's not natural. I want to tell you a story to finish with a guy named Eli. Eli, good friend of mine when I was early college years, right when I came to know Christ. Eli did something crazy. His second year of college, halfway through his first semester, he said, I am just sure that God is telling me to just quit college and go to China. Everyone was like, you're crazy. Like, what are you going to do once you get to China? I don't know, right? Like, but he knew it was God's voice, and so he listened, and he quit college halfway through that semester, and I don't even know how he went about this practically, but he got a one-way plane ticket to China. No idea, no plans, just God's calling me to go there. I'm going and seeing what he has for me. And so he flies over to China. His plane lands, and he gets out of the airport, looks around. Now what, right? Like, no idea what to do, where to go. Doesn't know China at all. Someone comes up and meets him. Says, God told me to meet you here. Come with me. And he goes, and he got involved with the underground church over there, and for the last 8 or 9 years now, his friend Eli has been spending 4 months in China, 8 months back here, and he's getting people over involved with the underground church and supporting them. God's been using him for that ministry ever since. And it's this hand on this side of the world, and this hand on this side of the world, both simply listening to the head and finding unity there. That's why we're unified. And again, the way we're unified will cause other people to recognize that the Father sent the Son. So as a member of America, as someone who grew up in Texas, kind of understands the Southern church culture, I urge you, present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Because it's best for you, but also because they need to see it. The world needs to see believers who are truly His. I'm going to pray for us. Father, I thank you that you are the head. Lord, that it is not up to us and our ability to communicate well and try to get along, Father. It's not up to the love that we're able to conjure in ourselves to try to reach out to the world around us, Father, but that your Spirit produces all of it. All we do is come before you and say, God, we want you to work. We want you to move. We open up our hearts. We surrender. And so, Lord, I pray if there's any truth that you were sharing today, both in general but also in specific in each person's lives, that those truths would be solidified and held on to, God. And if there is anything that I said that was not from you, if there's anything that anyone heard or received that was not from you, Father, that it would be forgotten, it would drop, and we would just be left with your truth, Lord. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Justin.